What if I told you that Ferrari has created a car so advanced that even within the paddock some believe it is crossing the limits of what is legal? Is this Vasseur's master move or Ferrari's most dangerous experiment since 2014? Since taking charge of the Scuderia, Vasseur has conveyed a clear but silent idea. Ferrari will not be champion again if it continues doing what everyone else does. And that philosophy has reached its most radical point with the construction of the SF26. What Ferrari is doing for 2026 is not simply preparing a car for a new regulation. It is a change of identity. And that change begins with a decision so bold that, in any other team, it could cost a team director his job, completely sacrificing the 2025 season. This determination translated into a direct order to cease development of the SF25 single-seater from April, de facto renouncing the entire remaining championship calendar. A high-risk maneuver in a sport where every point counts and where the public narrative can destroy reputations as quickly as traffic lights turn on. But Vasseur is not looking for partial victories. You are building a unique opportunity to rewrite the rules of the game. The goal is not just to be ready on launch day. It means arriving with a machine that has no rival. And this is reflected in another disturbing statement made by Vasseur: "We will finish the car the day before its presentation. On January 22nd it will be completely assembled, to be presented on the 23rd. This is not a marketing ploy or a motivational phrase. It is a statement of how they are working. At the limit of time, at the limit of simulations, at the limit of computational physics. This way of operating also sends a message to the rest of the grid. Ferrari is willing to give up the present to conquer the future. It's a sacrifice that few teams would be willing to make, and that very few can afford without internal political consequences. Only strong leadership with institutional support could execute this type of bet. And Vasseur, against all initial expectations, has achieved that margin. What is brewing in Maranello is not simply a new car. It is a miniature industrial revolution within Ferrari. New production chains, new methods of structural analysis, fusion of technical departments that previously worked in sealed compartments. The entire team has aligned itself behind one idea: build something that no one can copy in time. And this leads to one last reflection. When Ferrari launches a conventional car and it fails, the media noise is immense. But if this radical car also fails, the blow could be devastating. That is why this project is not only technical, it is deeply political. If it works, Vasseur will not only establish himself as the architect of Ferrari's renaissance, he will become the most important figure on the team since Jean Todt. But if he fails, it could mark the end of his era. At the heart of this mechanical creature that Ferrari is developing for 2026 is a key piece that not only breaks with decades of technical tradition in Formula One, but directly challenges the conventional logic of internal combustion engines: the steel cylinder head. When talking about Project 678, it is very easy to focus all the attention on the engine. And no wonder. What Ferrari is doing with the steel cylinder head is an unprecedented technical revolution. But stopping there would be an incomplete view of the monster that Frédéric Vasseur is building for 2026. Because what really sets this car apart is its philosophical approach. It is not a machine assembled piece by piece, but a completely integrated ecosystem, where engine, chassis, aerodynamics and suspension are developed as a single organism. Ferrari is not designing a car. You are designing a unified performance system. One of the points where this unification is most evident is in the front suspension. Ferrari has opted for an architecture not seen on the grid since the 2010 season. It is a front pull rod system, a choice that few teams have used recently due to its complexity of adjustment and limitations in accessibility. But in combination with a very low center of gravity, it provides a key advantage. It allows the airflow to be released towards the flat bottom and the barge boards, increasing the efficiency of the diffuser and the downforce generated by ground effect. This choice is especially bold considering the new 2026 technical regulations, which will eliminate DRS and replace it with a more complex active aerodynamics system. Under these regulations, aerodynamic efficiency will move to a new level. It will not only be important to generate load, but also to be able to actively reduce and redistribute it depending on the racing situation. And here the second great revolution of the SF26 comes into play: its aerodynamic integration. The aerodynamic department, led by Diego Tondi and Frank Sanchez, has worked with complete freedom to design a radically narrower rear. Thanks to the reduction in the size of the radiators made possible by the lower thermal demands of the engine with a steel cylinder head, Ferrari has managed to free up space in the rear of the car. This allows for a more aggressive Coca-Cola body than any other seen to date, a shape that drastically reduces drag and improves straight-line directional stability. But the most interesting thing is that this bodywork has not been designed only to minimize drag. It is designed to breathe with the car. In 2026, ailerons and moving elements will be able to actively adapt, modifying their angle of attack, their incidence, or even their geometry, depending on the racing conditions. And that implies that the body must be flexible not in its physical structure, but in its aerodynamic compatibility. Ferrari has designed a complete package that can modify its airflow dynamically, with minimal visible moving elements, but with internal coordination between engine, suspension, and aerodynamics that makes each system enhance the next. The compactness of the new powertrain, added to a more efficient redistribution of the hybrid systems, allows the car's center of gravity to be lowered, improve weight transfer, and reduce lateral fatigue of the rear tire. This means the SF26 isn't just looking to be faster in a straight line. It seeks to be more constant in the race, more stable during long braking, and less dependent on external conditions such as side wind or thermal wear. And as if all this were not enough, Ferrari has also incorporated a new simulation philosophy. Thanks to a renewed collaboration with the company Renault, the team has implemented a predictive modeling system that combines real-time data from the wind tunnel with CFD simulations and artificial intelligence models that adjust parameters based on dynamic performance. This allows them to carry out up to 10 iterations per day on the same aerodynamic surface, seeking not only the fastest solution, but also the one most adaptable to different track configurations. All in all, the SF26 won't be the prettiest car, but it could be the most coherent. Because every part, from the brake pedal to the rear spoiler, has been designed with one goal in mind, to make all the others work better. And that is the difference between a fast car and a champion car. Behind every great revolution there is an equally great risk. And Ferrari's Project 678 is no exception. In fact, it is possibly the most extreme bet that Maranello has made in the last 2 decades. Because when a team decides to break all the unwritten rules of how a Formula One car is built, it inevitably begins to walk on a rope that hangs over an abyss. And in this case, that abyss has a name: reliability. In 2026, Formula One will change profoundly in its technical structure, but one of the toughest restrictions will be invisible to the eye of the beholder: the number of components allowed per season. Each driver will only be able to use 4 internal combustion engines over 24 races. Not one more. If an engine fails, if a part degrades prematurely, if a cylinder head has to be replaced, the sanction is automatic: grid penalty. And on such a long schedule, those penalties are not isolated incidents. They become a competitive death sentence. Ferrari's Project 678 is not simply a car. It is a philosophical statement. It is a break with the logic of the present, a commitment to domination through pure innovation. Frédéric Vasseur has drawn a line in the sand. On the one hand, the teams that play within the system. On the other, Ferrari, which is trying to build a new one from its foundations. Because Formula One, no matter how much it relies on cutting-edge technology, is still a deeply human game. And everything Ferrari is betting on for 2026 depends on hundreds of interconnected decisions working in harmony. It is enough for one to fail. A single variable that gets out of control. A thermal failure. An energy management problem. Unexpected aerodynamic turbulence. A temperature spike in a hot race. Any of those elements can unravel what seemed to be an engineering masterpiece. And therein lies the brutal beauty of this project, in its fragility. Because there is no safety net. There is no turning back. Ferrari does not have a conventional version of the SF26 in development. Everything is built on the same extreme philosophy. They have cut the moorings. They have bet their future on the conviction that innovation alone can win championships. Now, if this works, if this car really manages to combine enormous thermal power, active aerodynamic efficiency, dynamic stability, and reliability over 24 races, we will be facing one of the greatest technical achievements in the modern history of F1. It won't just be a victory for Ferrari. It will be a complete redefinition of what it means to build a race car. And in that case, Vasseur will not only earn the respect of the paddock, he will enter the history books alongside figures like Ross Brawn, Rory Byrne, or Adrian Newey. But if it doesn't work, the fall will be just as spectacular. Because these types of risks are not easily forgotten. A season ruined by technical failures is not analyzed with compassion. It is judged with the sharp magnifying glass of the Italian press, of the Ferrari board of directors, of a fan that has been waiting for more than a decade for the Cavallino to reign again. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.